G'day folks, Steve from Vintage Restorations Australia here. In today's episode we show you how we make up and then fit the brand new brake lines to the Series Landrover project.
Still rolls when you do that.
Oh, no.
So it needs adjustment.
It is a Landrover handbrake. They're not meant to actually work. I'll film it in case you're wrong, John, because our subscribers love it when we make mistakes.
Alright, so we have a plate and there's some holes.
There's a dog in the way.
There's the dog. We have a plate, there's some holes in the chassis, so I think that goes there. The plate rises it up a little bit so you can bolt on. And then you get a brake warning lamp, an input from the firewall foot pedal, output front right, output front left, and output rear. Well, that sort of makes sense.
Here it's mud. If in doubt, get the old one out.
Good having a spare around. I did check the internet and it looked like that's the correct orientation. I had it wrong. And that goes to the rear brakes, left front, right front. Feed.
You're a right front. That's a family video. I better not put that in.
You may notice there's a old brake pipe down here, cut off ends, all bits and rusty. We kept that intact as best we could, just so that we would have a kind of template. Getting ready for the next stage, which is putting the conifer brake pipes on. So in Australia we're allowed to use conifer, which is a copper iron mix, I think. Can't use a straight copper pipe, doesn't meet the standard, but conifer is good. You get fittings which go on them, so these guys slide on the pipe, and then you have to flare the pipe, which is pretty easy. You use a flaring tool. I have here a flaring tool, so it takes a variety of sizes of pipes, clamps on, and then while it's clamped on to the end of the pipe, this bit screws down and flares it out. And the depth that you want to set, you do with these devices, which are also used for double flaring, but the thickness of them is used to set the depth of pipe that sticks out of here. So if you're going to get one of these kits, get the double flaring kit with the extra bits that help you to double flare, and you can either single flare using the pipe sticking through by the appropriate thickness, or you can double flare, which is kind of cool, by sticking this bit in the pipe when you compress down, and it actually causes it to balloon out, bellow out, and double flare, which you also use in some pipes. And then when you've finished the double flare, looks like that. Nice connection, smooth on the inside, should be liquid tight, good for your brakes. Well, I've fitted the end of the pipe that I've already flared, so that's going okay. Keep it straight when it comes out of the nut, don't put a bend close to the nut. Conifer is pretty easy to bend by hand, so I've done this by hand. And I'm realising that the support bracket, that's the left hand side and the right hand side's on the other side. It should actually stick out, I reckon, to support this bit of the pipe, which is otherwise pretty exposed. So I'll just drop the axle off and swap those over. The conifer brake pipes, wonderful to use. I cut them with a hacksaw. You have to be careful with that because the hacksaw will leave a lot of filings and a sharp burr. So I file them off after I hacksaw them, and I tip out all of the burrs, blow out with compressed air. A little bit of metho wouldn't hurt too, but basically you don't want any of those bits of abrasive in your brake systems. And as you said before, flaring tool, double flaring tool in this case, which is the ideal thing to use. A whole lot of fittings. Now there's a couple of different sizes of these fittings, not only in terms of diameter, but also in terms of length. So I've put those two together. The silver one is just slightly longer than the passivated zinc goldy looking one, And that's important. If we have a look at the brake slave cylinder, you might notice, as we go in, that the silver one is almost up to the head of the fitting. The passivated gold one would have already hit the casting and wouldn't have clamped down on the pipe. Not good enough. So, nice to know, buy various bits, get the right ones. I didn't know which ones were the right ones. I ordered some with a pipe and I was given a whole bunch of bits with another thing I had. They're not the right size. Not long enough for this particular application. Otherwise, same thread, same idea on how it works. That's all good. And finally, you tighten up. You can get these special brake pipe spanners or pipe spanners. Very nice for this sort of thing because they're strong and you can do up nice and firm, or undo when they're rusted solid. Old brake cable to get some ideas as to what to do. Go along, swing out, go down, go along. Generous curves. Alright, I've got an idea. Let's see how well I can do that. And you can see how easy the pipe is to bend. I want to take it clear of the sharp edges, so I'll put it in where the clips are, but take it out, around the sharp edge and back in. Be careful to bend gently, no sharp kinks. As soon as you put a sharp kink in the pipe, throw that section out, start again, because it's not trustable. It's the brakes, most important thing, got to be working. Before I get to the tight turn up the end here, I'm going to go back and pretty up and put on all the clips, or at least a couple of them, just to keep things in the right spot and get the length correct. So I can see that's too high, I'm going to have to rebend that, and this section's a little high as well. Job done.
That's a sexy looking thing, John.
Pipe bender. 3 different radius or diameter of pipe that you can put in there. You can clamp it in and then you can roll it around and get it to whatever degrees of bend you want. Nice.
Fancy. Where'd you get that? Evil Bay?
No, I bought this ages ago when I had the E-Type Jag.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. I think I've never used it, to be truthful. Had it for 2 decades, never used it.
A bit like my brain. I had that for 5 decades.
Never used it.
Never used it. Not once.
That's it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed that and got something out of it. You may notice down below we now have a Patreon and a PayPal facility. If you enjoyed the channel and you're in the position to support it, we'd appreciate that support. Until next week, take care of yourselves and look after each other. So, bye.
Well, that's it for the workshop. I've now got to change tack and start milking the cow. 1 cow, Buttercup. having a feed, getting milk.